It's been considered the finest film never to win Best Picture, lost at the box office but immortalized by word of mouth and cable TV. A plot so complex that enthusiasts still find fresh details after dozens of viewings. Shawshank Redemption. Millions of moviegoers consider this story of hope, camaraderie, and redemption one of the best. What if I told you that underneath its familiar surface lurks a universe of secrets even the most devoted admirers have never discovered? Today, we reveal Shawshank's most secret mysteries from the actors and crew that brought this cherished drama to life. Hidden meanings, beginning tensions, and symbolic nuances throughout the film change how you view Andy Dufresne's path. Not everyday trivia. Over the years, the actors have disclosed remarkable insights that open up new ways to experience a film you thought you knew. From Morgan Freeman's shocking revelations about Red, to Tim Robbins's hidden methods for bringing Andy Dufresne to life, to the deleted scenes that would have changed the film's meaning. Shawshank's Secret Tale. I guarantee you'll never view Shawshank Redemption the same when we're done. Near miss film. Before we discuss the cast's disclosures, we must comprehend something astonishing. Shawshank Redemption rarely hit theaters. Stephen King was dubious when Frank Darabont proposed adapting Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Not because Darabont was untalented. It was too psychological and internal because the story appeared impossible to shoot. Few realize that King sold the rights to Darabont for $1. Yes, you heard right. Just $1. King named it his Dollar Baby program, where promising filmmakers could adapt his short films for a token fee. Tim Robbins said in a 25th anniversary interview that King's gesture gave the set remarkable flexibility. Robbins said they weren't making a big-budget blockbuster with studio supervision over every scene. Frank had incredible creative control because the risks weren't significant. Ironic, Morgan Freeman said. Hollywood virtually ignored the film that would top IMDb for years. Columbia Pictures was unsure what to do. This odd start set the foundation for one of Hollywood's most surprising successes. Like its protagonist, Andy Dufresne, this film achieved greatness indirectly. Prison That Made Shawshank. Shooting at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, was vital to the film's authenticity. 4 years before filming, this gigantic edifice was closed due to terrible conditions in 1990. In subsequent interviews, the performers emphasized how much this genuine prison affected their performances. "You could feel the decades of misery in those walls," said Clancy Brown, who played harsh Captain Hadley. Acting wasn't required. Prison was more than a background. It became a cinematic character. Between takes, Tim Robbins would sit alone in the cells and absorb the claustrophobic realities of incarceration. Small, 6 by 8 foot cells. Robbins said in a 2019 interview that standing in one and the door closing caused a basic brain response. Panic was real. Many film extras were former inmates of that jail, which viewers may not know. In the yard and mess hall scenes, Frank Darabont hired men who had served time there to get authentic reactions. Their worn looks and knowing glances weren't acting. They relived their past. This genuineness permeated the entire production. The production team even aged the prison walls differently for sequences set in different decades, making them cleaner as the film rewinded, a subtle touch most viewers never notice. Freeman said this reality-based focus transformed his view of Red. "Didn't play a movie prisoner. I played a man who spent decades in that hellhole." Differences exist. Background characters. Many viewers are unaware that the key actors built elaborate character backstories, details not mentioned in the film, yet influencing every gesture and line reading. Morgan Freeman said he developed Red's criminal history beyond the film's scant reference of his murder conviction. "I thought Red was a black community runner in the late 30s or early 40s. He was powerful outside, but lost it all. He's skilled at getting stuff inside because of it. He always knew who to talk to and how to fix things. Red's unusual position in Shawshank and his fast recognition of Andy Dufresne's difference were explained by this history. Red sees Andy as another high-ranking man who lost everything. There's recognition. Andy Dufresne was built even more unusually by Tim Robbins. Robbins stated in a director's commentary that he developed two characters. Everyone at Shawshank saw Andy, methodical, detached. The real Andy, who we only see at night, digs through the wall. Robbins' split personality influenced his acting in subtle ways most people don't notice. Robbins' body language is more fluid and genuine when he plays opera music over the prison speakers than when he is Andy. Most viewers sense the subtle change without seeing it. James Whitmore's portrayal of Brooks Hatlin, the elderly librarian who commits suicide due to his inability to adapt, is particularly intriguing. Whitmore said the role was modeled on his aged father, who had depression. Whitmore said Brooks feeding the birds wasn't in the script. Suggested it since my father did that in the park after my mother died. That little act conveyed great loneliness. The human link gives Brooks's small but vital tale emotional depth that lasts beyond the screen time. This is only one example of how the performers used real-life experiences to make Shawshank more genuine. Most fans miss the subtle meanings. The Shawshank Redemption has symbolism that most viewers, even diehards, overlook on their initial viewings. Over time, the cast has revealed some of these hidden meanings in interviews, changing how we interpret important scenes. Tim Robbins noticed a pattern in the film that few viewers detect. Andy often appears behind bars or barriers in views when other characters aren't. In scenarios outside his cell, Frank would hide me behind stairs or fences. It symbolizes Andy's imprisonment in ways others don't. By innocence, past life, secret plans. The film uses this visual motif dozens of times, but most spectators only notice it subconsciously. When you rewatch with this information, you realize how tightly Andy is caged compared to the other captives who have accepted their lot. Morgan Freeman added meaning to the film's famous roof tarring scene, as prisoners work outside and enjoy beer in the sun. Freeman said that scene goes beyond freedom. Pay attention to when Andy first helps the guards with money. His alternate identity as the prison's financial genius begins. The others see a man bringing them beer, but Red sees Andy preparing his escape. This scene's subtle foreshadowing of Andy's escape is remarkable. He's literally on the prison roof, crafting the identity that will release him. Beer, which appears like a temporary pleasure, is the start of a decades-long plan. Even the film's most famous sentence has depths most overlook. Red's famous phrase, "Get busy living or get busy dying," is the film's theme. Clancy Brown said Darabont wrote the statement on the production office wall before filming. The entire film contemplates this fundamental human choice. Rita Hayworth poster is more than it seems. Andy's cell wall movie posters may be the most recognizable Shawshank Redemption motif. Raquel Welch followed Rita Hayworth and Marilyn Monroe. Not only decor or gadgets to disguise his escape tunnel, Tim Robbins said. They describe Andy's adventure. Robbins said the posters tell Andy's narrative. When Andy comes, Rita Hayworth is a classic beauty from the 1940s and 50s. Marilyn Monroe defines the late 50s and early 60s, more erotic and multifaceted. Finally, Raquel Welch in 1,000,000 years BC represents the fundamental. She wears cave woman attire. Andy is destroying society to crawl in Izu and emerge clean. This carefully planned sequence lends additional significance to the famous scene of the poster billowing in the wind following Andy's escape, said director Frank Darabont. Not only does it expose his escape route, it also erases his past. The final barrier to freedom. Weather tells stories. Weather is one of Shawshank Redemption's most subtle but powerful storytelling devices. Years after release, Morgan Freeman noted this. When Shawshank goes wrong, it always rains. The sisters first attack Andy, the warden commits suicide, and Tommy dies. Instead, Andy escapes during a thunderstorm. The most aggressive and dramatic nature, matching his breakout stress. Most importantly, when Red finds Andy at the beach in Mexico, the film sees its first bright, clear sunshine. Freeman said only the final scene had truly gorgeous weather. Every other outside scene has clouds, rain, or gloom. Only at the end does the sun shine. This visual narrative approach is so subtle that most viewers don't detect it. However, it influences every scene's mood. The prison is always gloomy, while actual freedom is sunny. The surprising reality regarding the famous Get Busy lifestyle scene. Many fans consider the film's dramatic climax when Red decides to go to Mexico, narrating "Get busy living" or "Get busy dying." That's correct. Few know that this moment wasn't in the script. In a 2014 interview, Morgan Freeman disclosed this shocking information. That late production sequence where Red goes to Mexico and finds hope was inserted. Something was lacking after finishing the film. The studio wanted to eliminate the Mexico reunion because the film was too long. Frank countered with the bus scenario where I find Andy. This last-minute addition transformed the film. Without it, Red's story would have finished with him being released from prison, a less satisfying ending to his character arc. The film isn't simply about Andy's escape, Freeman said. The escape of Red is also important. Not from prison, but from his mind. This scene shows that Red has finally accepted optimism after decades of repressing it. This changes our view of the film's structure. Not only Andy's story with Red narrating, two guys gain freedom in different ways. The last-minute Brooks subplot changed everything. In one of the Shawshank Redemption's most devastating stories, elderly prisoner Brooks Hatlin commits suicide after being released. Many viewers don't know that Stephen King's novella expanded this crucial subplot. Actor James Whitmore said Brooks was a footnote in the source material. Whitmore explained that Frank noticed something unique in this tiny figure. He knew Brooks symbolized all the men who become institutionalized and can't go home. Expanding Brooks' involvement transformed the film's emotions. It set the stage for Red's release and dashed Andy's optimism. Without Brooks, the finale would be less emotional. The astonishing choice Red makes wouldn't be clear. Frank Darabont later said that studio execs wanted to eliminate the Brooks sequence because it slowed the pace. "I fought for Brooks," Darabont remarked. "I explained without demonstrating his fate. Red's last excursion is pointless. Fear was Brooks' choice. Red hopes. One without the other is meaningless." Brooks's renowned carving, "Brooks was here," is more meaningful in this context. Later, Red says, "So was Red before going for Mexico, not merely to leave a message." He explicitly rejects Brooks' fate and chooses his own. Bob Gunton, who played the malevolent Warden Norton, acknowledged years after the film's debut that he was partially based on a 1950s prison official. He was convicted of forcing inmates to renovate his home versus his immorality. Knowing this, history clarifies the warden's suicide scene. When the cops arrive, he can't stomach being humiliated like the criminals he's ruled for decades, Gunton said. He can't bear the annihilation of his noble self-image, not simply incarceration. A seemingly over-the-top villain gains historical credibility with this character detail. Hollywood didn't create the corrupt Bible-quoting warden. He was based on American prison history. Shawshank Redemption, not what you think. Most viewers think the film's title means Andy's escape and vindication, but the cast has a different take. After Andy escapes, Tim Robbins emphasized that the title is about more than redemption. In a location meant to destroy humanity, humanity is redeemed. Andy restores hope and purpose to the convicts, redeems the library, engravings on his cell roof and walls. Even though he's leaving, he improves Shawshank. This realization elevates the picture from an escape story to a meditation on how humanity may maintain dignity even under the worst conditions. Morgan Freeman added his interpretation. Red redeems himself by fleeing Shawshank and telling himself the truth. The parole board, too. He redeems himself by saying he doesn't care about their criticism. His authenticity has returned after decades of uttering what they wanted to hear. This multifaceted view of atonement explains the film's popularity. Not just a prison escape thriller. Redeeming the human spirit in all its imprisonments is the story. Walls, falsehoods, dread, and hopelessness. Famous ending nearly different. It may be the cast and crew's biggest surprise that the Shawshank Redemption almost ended differently. Andy and Red's beach reunion, one of cinema history's most joyful endings, was nearly removed. Frank Darabont said studio officials wanted Red on the bus traveling to Mexico to end the film. They claimed that depicting the reunion was unnecessary and that the film was too long. Darabont stated that they intended to eliminate the beach scene. They satisfied themselves with Red on the bus, hopeful. The film isn't about hope, therefore I struggled for that final sequence. About hope realized. Without Andy and Red on that beach, the audience would be left with Red's uncertainty throughout the film. To offer them closure. Tim Robbins provided another intriguing detail. The final scene was shot first. Frank wanted to film that reunion before Morgan and I spent months together on screen. He wanted the uneasy, tentative feeling of two old friends reconnecting after a long time. This production choice gave the scene the right emotional tone, not too emotional or lacking sincerity, because Robbins and Freeman hadn't yet formed the on-screen chemistry that made their prison sequences so gripping. Their reunion's grace feels genuine. The executive's decision to delete this section is inexplicable given how well it completes the plot.